Welcome to the George Washington University's Freshman Day of Service and Convocation. Class of 2018, would you please rise for our academic procession? Our procession features members of the university faculty, senior administrators, deans, Provost Steve Lerman, and President Stephen Knapp. We ask that you please remain standing and join the Colonial Quartet in singing our national anthem.
Exactly 200 years ago, in August of 1814, during the War of 1812, the British marched on Washington and burned the U.S. Capitol, the White House, and other government buildings. 3 weeks later in Baltimore Harbor, the lawyer and poet Francis Scott Key observed the British fleet's bombardment of Fort McHenry. On the morning of September 14, 1814, Key saw the huge 30 by 42-foot U.S. flag flying above the fort and penned the verse originally known as the Defense of Fort McHenry. Within a week, those words were joined to the music we know today as the United States National Anthem. We ask that you please join us in singing now the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Colonial Quartet. Would you please be seated? Class of 2018 and guest, would you please welcome Dr. Stephen Lerman, Provost of the George Washington University.
Well, thank you, and of course, good morning to all of you. It's really my pleasure and delight to welcome you to what is for you your first academic ceremony, and for those of us who, of course, have been here, this is the kickoff academic ceremony of our school year. And of course, it's our freshman convocation and the initiation of our freshman day of service. It's been great to get to know this class. I met many of you during Colonial Inauguration, for those of you who came, and of course we all came together for first night, where we joined each other at the historic Mount Vernon estate. We did that basically to give you a sense of the history that our university reflects. It's the home of our namesake, George Washington, who envisioned a great university in the new nation's capital. We are the heirs to that vision here at George Washington University. Today, we educate citizen leaders in all fields who have a passion for changing the world. You now make the transition through this convocation to join a large extended community. We have here about 25,000 students. We are colleagues, roommates, classmates, and will become friends. And you join a larger community of over 250,000 alumni who across the world work to address some of the world's greatest challenges and contribute to solving those problems. This is the beginning of what we hope will be a commitment to service. And I encourage you to apply George Washington's principles of citizenship and leadership. These are two values that are at the core of what our university is about. And when you join us, we hope you join something that's more than just a simple university, but one that contributes to the betterment of humankind. So it's now my pleasure to invite each of the deans who are with us today to call the students from their schools. To begin, I ask that Dr. Ben Vinson III, the Dean of the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences, and I ask him to please come forward.
Thank you, Provost Lerman. I have the distinct pleasure of calling the freshmen from the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences, the oldest school of the university. Dare I say, the boldest student body at this university. You are the very pride of George Washington himself, who once said, "It is upon the knowledge of the book that all other knowledge exists." You carry this creed within you. May I please ask you to rise and remain standing. Columbian College freshmen.
Good morning. I am David Darling, Dean of the School of Engineering and Applied Science. SEAS contributes to the worldwide explosion of knowledge in engineering and technology and stands at the center of one of the world's largest and most comprehensive regions for engineering and science innovation. Freshmen from the School of Engineering and Applied Science, please rise and remain standing.
Good morning. I'm Isabelle Bageux, the Associate Dean for undergraduate programs in the School of Business. I am very pleased to welcome freshmen to the School of Business. Our faculty are scholars and leaders in DC's most powerful institutions. Our students will gain a deep understanding and appreciation for the important relationships between Washington Wall Street, and the global economy. Students from the School of Business, please rise and remain standing.
Good morning. I'm Mike Brown, Dean of GW's Elliott School of International Affairs. If you draw a line from the White House to the State Department and another line from the World Bank to the Federal Reserve, those two lines intersect at the most dynamic School of International Affairs in the country, an elite School of International Affairs here on planet Earth, and the coolest School of International Affairs in the known universe. May I ask the superb students of GW's Elliott School of International Affairs to please rise and remain standing.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Room. I'm the Senior Associate Dean of the Milken Institute School of Public Health here at the George Washington University. We are the only school of public health in the nation's capital, and we are committing to making this the healthiest capital of any nation on the globe. I would invite the students from the class of 2018 from the School of Public Health to rise, and all of you who also want to change the world to rise.
President Nat, it's with great pride that I present to you the class of 2018. And now, will everyone else please rise for a performance of the university's alma mater, followed by remarks by President Nat. Ladies and gentlemen, your alma mater.
Hello, class of 2018. How are we doing today? So today, we're gonna learn our school's alma mater. I'm gonna sing a line to you, and then you're gonna sing it right back. And then we're gonna stand as United Colonials and sing it together, okay? Sound good? All right. Hail, alma mater. To thy spirit guiding.
To thy spirit guiding.
Knowledge thy closest friend.
Knowledge thy closest friend.
In its strength abiding.
In its strength abiding.
Pledge we fidelity.
Pledge we fidelity.
Ne'er its place resigning.
Ne'er its place residing.
Hail thee, George Washington.
Hail thee, George Washington. Hail, alma mater, to thy spirit guiding. Knowledge thy closest friend, in its strength abiding. Pledge we fidelity, ne'er its place resigning. Hail thee, George Washington.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And now, class of 2018 and guests, would you please welcome the 16th president of the George Washington University, Dr. Stephen Knapp.
Thank you very much. Class of 2018, good morning. I'd like to extend a special welcome to a number of special guests who are here with us today. Jay Winnick, co-founder and executive vice president of the 9/11 Day of Observance and of My Good Deed. Wendy Spencer, CEO of the Corporation for National and Community Service. Majora Carter, renowned environmental activist and public radio host. And let me also extend a special welcome to the students of our newest school just joining us in these past few weeks, the Corcoran School of the Arts and Design in the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences. As the provost has said, our university was created in response to a vision that the nation's foremost founder spelled out in his last will and testament. But the university we have become is different in many ways from what he could have imagined. To begin with, he could not have imagined the sheer size of the university, 25,000 students, when in his lifetime, the university he would have known best, William and Mary, had at most several hundred students. We are indeed located, as he intended, in the nation's capital, but we also have multiple campuses. Many of you live at Mount Vernon. We also have some of those here, which is a short distance from our location here in the heart of the nation's capital. But outside of the nation's capital, we also have multiple campuses. Our Virginia Science and Technology campus, rapidly growing, about an hour from Washington, and then many other sites up and down the Commonwealth of Virginia and several in the state of Maryland as well. And we are not just a single school, but in fact 10 schools, actually 14 if you include the 4 existing schools within colleges, the Corcoran School of the Arts and Design, the Graduate School of Political Management, the School of Media and Public Affairs, and the Trachtenberg of Public Policy and Public Administration. George Washington also could not have imagined a university with more than 120 departments, 95 centers and institutes, a 500,000 square foot science and engineering building that will be opened and dedicated this year. A school of public health located right on the circle that bears his name, along with our hospital and our School of Medicine and Health Sciences. A museum housing a world-class collection of textiles and the history of the great capital city he had only begun to plan, and that museum will also be opening this year. He could not have imagined a student body that includes women, in fact more women than men, and attracts students not just from the 16 states that existed at the end of his life, but from all 50 states and more than 100 countries around the world. But what George Washington would have recognized is our culture of service and our mission to educate citizen leaders. In those respects, we have remained faithful to our founding vision for nearly 200 years. Part of what draws students to this community from every state in the U.S. and more than 100 countries is the opportunity to have a front row seat in the theater of history. We saw what that meant dramatically 2 years ago when we went through the cycle of a presidential election and inauguration and had a chance to enjoy the only university inaugural ball in the District of Columbia. And that's going to happen again 2 years from now, and you will go through that cycle together. And it's just one of the many pieces of history that you'll have an opportunity to witness. But in the meantime, you will find your classmates to be among the most focused and engaged members of your generation. We've been ranked once again as the most politically active student body in America. Once again, have that ranking. And so I think it's very fair to say that at GW, we aren't just watching history unfold, we are making history. Today's students have the opportunity to realize the dreams that earlier generations have so far left behind. And let me just give you a few examples of your fellow students. Michelle Suarez received a bachelor's and then a master's degree from the Elliott School of International Affairs and earned a graduate fellowship to work in the State Department. This year, she begins her career as a Foreign Service officer in Tijuana, Mexico. Emmanuel Johnson served in the United States Navy before coming to GW to study political science and economics. And when he returns to his hometown of Chicago, he plans to seek public office, and I'm sure will succeed in that endeavor. William Murphy is currently studying biomedical engineering in the School of Engineering and Applied Science and began engaging in cancer research as a freshman. He hopes to pursue a career in that field at the National Institutes of Health. How each of you defines your own version of citizen leadership will be up to you. Indeed, it will be up to you whether you choose to become the kind of citizen leader that George Washington envisioned when he first dreamed of this university. But should you choose to do so, we're committed to doing everything we can to support you in that role. And so, Provost Lerman, members of the faculty, distinguished guests, I'm delighted to welcome our newest cohort of potential citizen leaders, the George Washington University class of 2018. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Knapp. We now ask you to turn your attention to the screens to learn more about the tradition of the George Washington University's Freshman Day of Service.
Welcome, class of 2018.
Welcome 2018.
Welcome! Welcome, class of 2018.
Welcome to your freshman day of service.
Welcome. Welcome to your freshman day of service.
Welcome to GW, class of 2018. My name is Peter Konworski, and I'm your Vice Provost and Dean of Student Affairs. GW has an amazing tradition of service and service learning, and we're glad that you're here to participate.
I'm Amy Cohen. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Civic Engagement and Public Service. We're your one-stop shop for all things community service, academic service learning, and civic engagement. We want to get you involved in our long-term programs like Engage DC, DC Reads, and Jumpstart, and our new social entrepreneurship programs, GW Upstart Innovation Lab and Prize. We'd also love for you to apply for the Knapp Fellowship for Entrepreneurial Service Learning so you can take your academic ideas for social change and make them a reality.
Here at GW, we are committed to urban sustainability on campus, in the classroom, and in the community. On campus, the university has green roofs, a community garden, and solar panels, all of which contribute to environmental justice.
There's so much for you to do. Take a Greenleaf course. Think about having a minor in sustainability. There's so much to do.
Through the DC Reads program at GW, I was able to volunteer for the Higher Achievement program here in Washington, D.C. I noticed that there was a lack of diversity in the community servant population. That inspired me to create the Ubuntu service group.
Ubuntu believes I am because we are, and we are because I am. So it's really important for us to have a diverse student volunteer population to reflect the overall GW student population.
I engage in community service activities that affect my community, and I use GW student organizations and programs as a vessel to help make a difference. It's important to me to inspire others who want to make the world a better place.
We'll spend the day creating community gardens, planting trees, and removing invasive species. You will also serve in public schools, veteran centers, and community centers across DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Through your hard work, the class of 2018 will complete more than 8,000 hours of service over the course of the day.
Reflection is going to be a big part of your day as Freshman Day of Service, and the reason we reflect is that by thinking about what we do, we are able to take our actions and turn them into something that helps us to grow, to develop, to understand the connections.
Another way that our university has brought this together is through the First Chapter program and Will Allen's The Good Food Revolution. And another way to keep that up is to take some service learning classes at GW, where you go out in the community, you come back into your classroom, and you start to really unpack the relationships between yourself as a scholar and yourself as a citizen.
Freshman Day of Service has been an important part of my time at GW. For 4 years now, I've had the opportunity to work alongside a great group of GW students who are so passionate about getting out and getting involved in the DC community. Today, you will join your peers, student leaders, and faculty and staff members to serve with DC residents and communities across the region. Over 2,400 students, faculty, and staff members from GW will be serving today.
We want to hear from you, and we want to see your community service today. So when you post on social media, use the hashtag GWFDOS2014.
Good morning, class of 2018. I'm Vice Provost Terry Harris Reed. I'm excited to serve with you today and look forward to serving with you in the next 4 years as we help GW fulfill its commitment to citizenship and leadership. Let's go serve.
Okay, GW, let's go serve.
Let's go serve. Let's go serve. Let's go serve.
Let's go serve.
Let's go serve.
And now, Class of 2018, would you please welcome your Student Association Executive Vice President, a senior in the Columbian School of Arts and Sciences, Avra Basov.
Good morning, class of 2018. Here at GW, we cultivate a strong culture of service. 3 years ago, I sat in your seat, embarking on my first service experience as a GW colonial. If only I knew then what impact my involvement with service at GW would have on my friendships, professional aspirations, and personal development. Since that time, I have had the pleasure of becoming a brother of Alpha Phi Omega, a national co-ed community service fraternity, studying community action in a service learning course in the university writing program, participating in 4 GW alternative breaks trips with destinations across the country, and leading groups in Freshman Day of Service and MLK Day of Service. As Executive Vice President of the Student Association, I am honored to bear witness to the passion and giving nature of our student body. Having gotten my hands dirty in service here at GW, I'm so excited for you to embark on this endeavor. Today is about collaboration and building relationships with our neighbors and fellow citizens in the DMV area. It is about building a sustainable world through sustainable relationships with nature and the food we eat, in addition to how we treat one another. We are here today to plant seeds to cultivate justice through the sustainability of our environment, our communities, and together, our world. I'm honored to be serving with you today as a site captain for the Age-Friendly DC project. Would my fellow site captains and site leaders serving today please rise and be recognized? Thank you. One of our guiding principles as a university is George Washington's motto, "Deeds, not words." At GW, we do not just say we are going to do something, we do it. We do not just say we are going to change the world and make history, we do it. Today is a meaningful demonstration of deeds, not words. Before our service begins, we have the opportunity to hear from some inspiring speakers who will help us put the service we do today in a broader national context. Joining President Knapp and me on stage are Majora Carter, a renowned urban revitalization strategy consultant, Wendy Spencer, CEO of the Corporation for National and Community Service, and Jay Winnick, co-founder and executive vice president of the 9/11 Day Observance and My Good Deed, a nonprofit that organizes the annual September 11th National Day of Service and Remembrance. GW's tradition GW's tradition of Freshman Day of Service began in 2009, the year that Congress designated September 11th as a National Day of Service and Remembrance. Mr. Winnick's work is in honor of his brother, Glenn Winnick, a volunteer firefighter and EMT who was killed in the line of duty at the World Trade Center. Here is a video that explains more about his work. Following the clip, Mr. Winnick will tell us more about the 9/11 Day Observance Initiative. Thank you.
I remember being very fearful of the unknown of what might happen next.
I remember it being like a bad dream.
I remember the plane flying over my head.
I remember kind of hiding my eyes and not looking at the television.
I remember the faces of my colleagues as the building swayed so violently after the plane crash.
I remember flyers of all the missing people.
That is an image that's seared in my mind.
I remember seeing people helping one another.
I think it's pulled the community together.
I remember people talking to each other.
An unbelievable sense of community.
I remember all of us coming together.
It wasn't just a New York thing.
We all were affected in some way.
You just wanted to do something.
I will remember by planting a tree.
I will continue to serve as a volunteer firefighter.
I will remember by taking my daughter to the Bronx Zoo.
I will call my grandmother.
I will clean up my room.
I will.
I will. I will.
I will make a difference.
How will you remember 9/11? Share your message at 911day.org today.
Good morning. Thank you for that nice intro, Avra. 12 years ago, my friend David Payne and I shared a dream that one day we'd be standing in front of thousands of college students, not old enough or alive long enough to remember what actually happened on 9/11 and in the days afterward. And these students would all be energized to go out and make a difference in the world in honor of all those who perished. Nice dream, right? And now I look around this room 12 years after our simple but powerful idea, and I'm just blown away. Thank you, thank you, thank you, each and every one of you, for making our dream come true. This was not only our dream, of course, but rather one shared by thousands of people soon after 9/11 who had the wisdom to understand that we must take back the day from those who attacked our way of life and turn it into a positive force. You know, when we started the 9/11 Day movement, really the most important goal we had was to get young people actively engaged. Why? Well, our great concern was that years after the attack on our nation, would future generations learn only about the act of war that took almost 3,000 lives? Or would they also learn about the amazing outpouring of compassion, of generosity that millions of people everywhere showed in response? And so we set about to create and build this observance. To be sure, the lessons of 9/11 are many, but I'll share two with you. First, we are far more productive as a nation, and in fact, as a global community, when we focus on those things that we have in common, rather than on those things that tend to separate us, such as politics, race, religion, economic status, geography, lifestyle. 9/11 proved to all of us in numerous ways that if we embrace our common humanity, there's absolutely no limit to what can be accomplished. And you are doing that with your presence here today. So I'm proud of each and every one of you for that. Second is this: good usually triumphs over evil. In the end, those who attacked us sought to make us weaker, but in fact, they made us stronger. Your participation today and that of millions of people all over the nation is a statement to the world that we get to define the day, not those who seek to do us harm. And so I thank you all for that as well. As you heard from Avra, I was thrust into this work from tragic circumstances. My younger brother, Glenn Winnick, died on 9/11. He was a partner at the law firm Holland & Knight, located just about a block and a half from what we now know as Ground Zero. When the towers were hit, Glenn helped evacuate his law offices, grabbed some equipment, raced into the South Tower to save lives, to save people he did not know. A 20-year volunteer firefighter and an EMT, Glenn knew what to do. And so he did it, as he had 1,000 times before. But this time he didn't make it out. With that in mind, I'll share with you 2 more lessons that I personally learned as a result of this experience. The first is about overcoming adversity. You know, none of us goes through life without facing tough times. One of my favorite musical quotes comes from John Lennon, who wrote, "Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans." You don't get to make all the plans. Stuff happens. But how you deal with that makes all the difference in what kind of life you will have. So I encourage you to always fight the good fight, whatever challenges may come your way. Having come through the storm of 9/11, I can tell you that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You know how I know that? Look at all of you, stepping forward to do some good in the world. You are my light at the end of the tunnel. The second is that with hard work and some creativity, a simple idea really can change the world. When David and I started this initiative, that's all we had, a really good idea. But flash forward almost 13 years, 9/11 Day is now the largest annual day of charitable engagement in the history of the United States, with more than 40 million people participating last year. 40 million people. So I encourage all of you, never give up on your ideas, your dreams, your goals, your passion. You really can transform them into something very meaningful. I'll close by giving you an important but simple assignment. Never forget what you did today in honor of 9/11 Day. Never forget it and share it with your friends, your neighbors, your future colleagues, your children if you should have them in the future. You are the next generation, and you have a wonderful opportunity, a responsibility, in fact, to carry the message forward, to keep the momentum going, to help ensure that long after we are all gone, 50, 100 years from now, at least on this one day each year, Americans from coast to coast will come together, lift the lives of people and communities in need. You see, there will always be people in need. That's just the way life is. The question is whether or not there will be enough of us willing to step forward and commit the energy and make the effort to help them. As I look out at all of you, I'm quite confident that there will be. I'm so inspired to see so many of you here, and I'll remember this moment always. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winnick. And now to introduce this morning's keynote speaker, our university's president, Dr. Stephen Knapp.
Thanks very much, Avra, and I'd really like to congratulate all of you for coming together today on what is now the 6th Freshman Day of Service that we have participated in together as a university community. The first time we did this was actually 5 years ago in 2009, and that was the same day that Michelle Obama, the First Lady of the United States, issued her service challenge to our university. The challenge was that if we would perform 100,000 hours of service in the course of the academic year, she would become our commencement speaker on the National Mall that spring. Well, we actually ended up completing that year 163,980 hours. Not that anyone's counting, but that's pretty good. And That sounds like a big number, so let me tell you that last year, this past academic year, our students and our university community completed, and this is something we audit very carefully and track very carefully, 403,000 hours. Today you become part of that legacy of service with more than 2,400 students, faculty, and staff participating. And of course, I hope this is just the start of your commitment to serve, and that when you complete your GW education, you'll continue to find ways of serving in your communities wherever your travels and your aspirations may take you. So I wish you all the best as you fan out across this great capital city to participate in sustainability projects at 2 farms, to engage in service activities for veterans at Vinson Hall and the Armed Forces Retirement Home, in 9 parks and nonprofit and community centers across the District of Columbia. Your service will be far-reaching. In fact, you're going to be covering all 8 wards of the district and also some sites in Maryland and in Virginia. And to help set the stage for your activities this afternoon, it's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. Majora Carter is an urban revitalization strategist, an environmental activist, and an award-winning broadcaster who has pioneered efforts in green economic development for more than 15 years. Her advocacy in environmental justice has raised awareness of the importance of green space to marginalized urban populations. In 2001, Ms. Carter founded Sustainable South Bronx, an organization dedicated to addressing environmental inequality in her New York City neighborhood. Under her leadership, the group successfully oversaw the design of Hunts Point Riverside Park, the South Bronx's first new waterfront park to have been constructed in 60 years. 2 years later, she launched the Bronx Environmental Stewardship Training Program, one of the nation's first urban green-collar job training and placement initiatives. Since then, she's founded numerous ventures focused on innovative and sustainable solutions to urban economic problems. In 2008, she formed the Majora Carter Group, which is a consulting and planning firm that works with communities across the country to engage city leaders in using green projects to promote social change and to reduce economic disparities. Ms. Carter has earned numerous community service and leadership awards from such organizations as the National Building Museum, New York Post, Fast Company, and the Center for American Progress. In 2005, she was named a MacArthur Foundation Genius Fellow. And in 2011, she received a George Foster Peabody Award for her role as host of the radio program The Promised Land. She serves on the boards of the U.S. Green Building Council, the Bronx Academy of Software Engineering, and the Andrew Goodman Foundation. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Majora Carter.
So, y'all ready to make the world a better place since you got up this morning? All right, now, I got up at 4:30 to get here, so I'm sure you can do a little bit better than that. I'll ask again, are you ready to make the world a little bit better than when you got up this morning? Thank you. Gotta give a girl a little something to work with. But anyway, it's so nice to see you all here, and in particular, I'm glad because you're here doing exactly what you're going to do. And as I'm about to go to my 30th high school reunion, and I have to say that I was sitting in your seat, not exactly the same seat 30 years ago, but it's really nice to see how many folks are just still out there as beautiful and idealistic and just knowing you're going to change the world as you are. But you're all going to see and experience many different types of needs today, and you are going to help. And that's good, and it's valuable, and it's needed. But as you work today, and as you learn over the next 4 years, think about the value that you place on work. What costs, because of the work that you're doing today, are being saved down the line? Whose life is being changed, whose walk to this wherever, is brightened up a little bit because of what you did today. Who are you helping? What benefit is being created, and who cares about that benefit? Because that beneficiary, whoever sees the beautiful work that you do, that's a market. And I want to introduce a term to you that I'm sure many of you know already, and it's called social enterprise. And the social part is really easy, obviously. But it's the enterprise part that gets a little bit tricky, and in some circles is considered dirty or even impure. Now, I do not believe that money is inherently evil or bad at all. In the best of all worlds, it allows you to stay in the game, to make your life easier, and so that you can continue to do the things that you love. And what you love and what pays the bills doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. Volunteering is so important. It helps remind you of your own humanity and certainly the humanity of others. However, after a while, it certainly is not going to pay your bills. I want to share a template with you that I use to help refine my actions, and I think will be helpful for you as you start thinking about what your own actions will be after you leave this day of service, so that you can get more done in general. And so some of you can even build a social enterprise of career on your own that helps society and you at the same time. Okay, so first slide, please. One more. There you go. So this is part of the first template. First of all, you have to identify the market need or the policy need. And so it's not just a great idea you have, it's more about what are people actually talking about. It could be something as big as world peace. It could be something as small as a particular app. Next up. Then you have to design an attractive solution. Again, this is not about what you think people want, it's about what people have articulated that they want. Next. Then you have to find somebody or someone, money or otherwise, sometimes just an influential person who believes in that idea. That's your angel investor. Next. Then you launch a beta version with whatever money or influence that you have. You put something out there for people to respond to that is different than what was there before. Next. And then you don't just go, oh, I'm done. You actually learn from your projects. You see how people use it and respond to it. And then you refine it as it goes along, because chances are it will not be perfect the first time. Next. And that's when you could either go looking for the big bucks, or you just reiterate and expand it going forward. Okay, so next slide. And so for the first thing that we wanted to do is I'm going to show you a successful way that we used it. So what was the market need? For us, we were looking at, well, what are the market needs in terms of the fact that we've got, the world is becoming much more we are in the tech economy, period. And so here I work in many poor communities all over the country. It is not any different there, but there's this alleged digital divide. So I was thinking, well, the market need clearly is access, but actually we realized that that's not true, because many folks around the country in low-income communities actually have internet access. Most of it is actually through phones. Next up. This is the real digital divide. So the market need was not about getting people more access to technology through the web, but it was more about, can you make them go from consumers directly into producers? Next. We're also in a multi-platform world because everybody is really web connected. People want things to work on absolutely everything. Next up. But somebody's got to make sure that it works. There's a huge global software testing market. Almost all of it's done overseas. Next up. And we've got a nation that's becoming more and more diverse. By 2040, America will no longer be majority white. My area up in New York surpassed that by 2011. So we're moving in that direction. So how are we making sure that as our market, that the technology needs toward the market, both as consumers and producers, changes? Next. And especially as the demographics change, America becomes darker and more urban. Next. And present company excluded. So many in America are not even graduating high school, so we've got an underprepared workforce as well. Next. So what was our attractive solution? Creating a social enterprise that specifically sought to reduce the difference between people in low-income communities moving into the production society and technology. So our first project, next, was to actually teach kids to code, like a lot of folks are doing. And that was great. You know, some friends who are experts in that went into the local high schools, and that was great. But next up, but again, we had to learn and refine the model. There were lots of folks learning how to, or teaching kids how to code. Plenty, more than you could shake a stick at. However, there was another huge body of people who actually weren't cute kids anymore. And they were the ones who also needed to find accessible jobs in technology. So who are our angel investors there? Nickelodeon, Tresenza, and also me. We decided to actually we started a subcontracting business that actually did software testing. Yes, we paid people to play games. And Nickelodeon and Tresenza were our first clients. We literally were urban onshoring jobs that were offshored back into our inner cities. Okay, next up. And because of that, we were able to show that this is a real great market out there. Next. And so those two little pilots that we did with Nickelodeon and Tresenza really helped us refine that model. Next up. And next. And next. And what that allowed us to do was recognize that next slide, was that we had a really fantastic way that we were going to develop both a workspace and programming space to bring people together to learn a lot more and more about how do we develop a tech ecosystem in low-income communities. And next slide. So we got these little storefront spaces right on the avenue. And next slide. And we were able to launch it. We're giving away free samples of our product by actually going to games developers all over New York City, and we actually recruit people to work with us by doing game tournaments. And those game tournaments are great ways to continue to build support amongst the local community. It builds community because it allows folks to get together in places where they never thought they would before. And we've even developed great community and police relations too as a result of having positive activity in our local community. And because of that, we know that we're going to be able to build this model out and develop the capacity for one of New York's poorest communities to participate in the tech economy. So all of that, simply because we had this idea, the market need was to find jobs for low-income people within the community. And so that is a success. And a real success is we know that how successful it is. Next slide. Is because when a bunch of folks did the market research asking little kids, like, what do they want to be when they grow up? The top 5 things. The top 3 were movie star, sports star, and I can't remember what the other one was. But the number 5 was game developer. So this is where the world is going. And so now, using the same template, I want to show you a failure. And the thing is, you're going to have some failures, you just need to learn to roll with them. Next up. And so what was the market need? The market need is, we need to find good, decent ways to create healthy, affordable access to produce, next slide, in our inner city areas. And, especially because we're dealing with the fact that the transportation cost to just get folks in, fossil fuel economy, et cetera, and the fact that so much of the food that's in those communities is as bad as it is. So that is a problem. And so the market need was, how do we get healthy, affordable food into our communities and also create more jobs in the process? Next up. And so we thought, oh my goodness, urban agroponics in particular. How exciting would this be to be growing food, whether it's in, low-income areas, in formerly abandoned warehouses, lots, whatever, and using technology to help make this happen. Next up. And so developing it so it can go straight from people producing that food, into the area. And so we thought this was a fabulous, attractive solution. We got bitten by the urban agriculture bug the same way everybody else did. Next up. And we had these great images of doing all sorts of work out there. We did all sorts of research about how fabulous the work was. Next slide. And we even put together a marketing campaign on our own. And next slide. Because we were just so amazed and fascinated and just in love with this idea that what we didn't really do was realize, next slide, that the costs of doing urban agriculture, specifically using hydroponics, even in inner cities, was just never going to be economically viable. It was never going to produce the kind of jobs that we really wanted it to be. And so guess what? We never found our angel investor. and nobody ever really does. Unless, of course, they're growing food right on top of the building where it's then served from, and most places don't work that way. So it was a great exercise, and one that we did, and we were happy that we were able to do it, but it didn't happen. But again, we learned, we used that template, so we never were able to go further with that. So next slide. But it's really important, I think, for us to know that when you go out there, you do need to give your 110%, as much as you can, and then when you think you don't have any more, you'll find some more to give, because it is about being impatient to change the world and to know that there's stuff that you can do to help make things happen for you. But tonight and tomorrow and over the next few years, I really want you to think and look about what are the market needs? What are the things that make you impatient to make you want to change the world? Who are your customers, and who could they be? And how can you build the right team to make money and produce a social benefit at the same time? Good luck today, and thank you for letting me share some of the work that I've been able to do and the wisdom that's gotten me this far, and I hope that you guys are going to surpass everything that any one of us who's up here talking to you about anything in the future. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Ms. Carter, for your insight. Our final speaker today leads a federal agency that administers AmeriCorps, Senior Corps, the Social Innovation Fund, and other programs that provide public service on a national level. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Wendy Spencer.
Thank you. Hello, GW freshmen. Thank you so much, President Knapp, for inviting me again to be here. So I am here on behalf of President Obama and the Corporation for National and Community Service family. Now, it's a special week for you, it's a special week for us, and I'm going to tell you we've got a special anniversary coming this week. So I want to tweet a photograph out, and I want to take a selfie with you and share it with the President when I'm with him next week. Will you do that with me? All right, here we go. Here we go. Look up, right? All right, let's do this. Show some energy here. Excellent. Now what I want to do is I want to give a message. So I'm going to videotape you, and I want you to say with me, I serve at GW because I care. Now let's practice before I videotape it, because I'm going to share this with somebody really special. On 3, 1, 2, 3. I serve at GW because I care. All right, are we ready? Let me turn this around. Here we go. Hold on. I got to get this. Here we go. All right. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Now I get to share it with the President and tell him what's the best freshman class in the country. Right? Excellent. So what in the world is the Corporation for National and Community Service? It's a very busy name for a federal agency. We are AmeriCorps, Senior Corps, service to our nation. We sponsor and host 9/11 Day of Service and Remembrance, and support organizations like Jay's My Good Deed, Dr. Martin Luther King Day of Service. All in all, 80,000 AmeriCorps members. 300,000 seniors who serve, another 4.5 million Americans who serve in our days of service and alongside our members. So what is AmeriCorps? It's an opportunity for you to serve a year of your life in an organization that you care about, helping you with your own personal and professional goals while helping the community that you serve. So as a recruiter, and I have my A on, I want to recruit all of you to think about in the class of 2018, maybe the year of 2018, to join AmeriCorps. And let that be the start of your career through service. And I'll tell you why that's a benefit for you in just a minute. So I think we've got a slide. I want you to follow me on Twitter. There you go. Follow me on Twitter if you will, and I'll post out some photos today as well. You're my dream freshman class, because my role in life is to support President Obama and the entire family of the Corporation for National and Community Service to convince Americans to serve one another. And you're doing it today. You're going to step up today and start a great year here at George Washington with a great vision that President Knapp is supporting, with this year of service. And I love the challenge from Michelle Obama to get you kicked off as well, which is just great. So I said there's something else special going on this week. 20 years to the day, on Friday, September 12th, was the day of the first AmeriCorps member was inducted by President Clinton 20 years ago today. On Friday. So here's what we're going to do. 900,000 Americans have served as AmeriCorps members since that first day. And on Friday, September 12th, at exactly 11:30 a.m. Eastern, exactly 8:30 in San Francisco and 10:30 and 11:30 and 9:30 across the country, exactly 11:30 a.m. These 900,000 AmeriCorps alums and the new AmeriCorps class of AmeriCorps members will all at the same moment in time raise their hand and say the AmeriCorps pledge. It's a re-pledge for those who have served and those who are going to serve starting this fall. It will be the very first moment for them to say the pledge. All 50 states have activities. It will be kicked off at the White House with President Obama in a great service on the South Lawn, and it will be live streamed throughout the entire country and world. So everyone will be able to go on and see and participate in the pledge to serve others. Pretty exciting, isn't it? Pretty exciting. So I'm really excited about that. So I want you to think about your day of service today and how that so many others are serving as well. So I've got a tool for you. Would all of you, when you graduate, like to have a 27% advantage in getting a job? 27% advantage, I'm going to tell you how. Is that a good idea? Not only with the degree, but also with a new advantage. We have been able to research with the U.S. Census Bureau and the Bureau of Labor Statistics and our statisticians and researchers. We took 10 years of data and we studied people's habits. And we were able to find that if you're unemployed and looking for work, that if you volunteer, you increase the likelihood of gaining a job by 27%. There should be a slide going up at that now. 27% advantage. Pretty amazing. So today, President Knapp has given you a 27% advantage. He's getting you kick-started, not only with the degree that you will get from this fabulous university, but also the idea that serving others can give you a personal advantage while helping the community as well. How many of you are from what you would consider a rural community? A small community like I'm from in Georgia. Some of you are from a rural community. Georgia, we got a Georgian over here. All right. If you return back to a rural community when you leave this fabulous institution and you volunteer and you're looking for a job, next slide, you increase the likelihood of gaining a job by 55%. Pretty amazing. So what's the message? What are we going to do when we graduate? Volunteer, absolutely. But not just for yourself, but also because it's the right thing to do to help our country. So I really hope you will do that with me. And I want to give you a challenge for my good deed, which I just love Jay's message, and I appreciate Jay you sharing that with us. My good deed is a great vision that on 9/11 we will remember those who lost their lives on that tragedy by giving of ourselves to others and doing a deed for others. And I hope today is your good deed. But throughout this week, and especially when you wake up on Thursday morning, September 11th, I ask that you use your social media for good. And you tweet out and on Facebook and other ways that you can say, email to your friends, do a tweet or social media of thanks to those public servants who put their lives in harm's way so that we can have our safe and free America. Those who serve in our military, those firemen and women, those police officers. Will you share this message on September 11th when you wake up, thanking those members of our military and firemen, police officers? Will you do that for me? Yes. That is one way that you can share the good deed. So today, It is a great day to start with this historic event that the entire freshman class will go out and serve. I compliment you for choosing to apply to this fine university. And I compliment the administrators and the president for choosing you. You were chosen because of your academic success and because of your character. And you're showing great character today when you serve. Have a great day of service. I'd love to be with you. Thank you so much for all you do, and best of luck at George Washington University. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer, and all of our speakers today who've inspired us to serve in partnership with the DC community and share our energy, passion, and knowledge. In just a few moments, we'll have the academic recession, and I'll begin dismissing you by service sites. But first, let's use this opportunity while we're together to sing the GW fight song for your first time in the Smith Center. If you're not familiar with the words yet, they will be posted on the screens. Everyone, please rise.